Hey everyone, great raid tonight. Bank stocked with materials for next week's progression. Sleep well, we'll see you tomorrow.
3 years. 3 years of pretending to care about these people. 3 years of great job, team. And we'll get it next time. Worth it. All of it worth it for this moment. Legendary materials, check. Crafting stockpiles, check. Guild gold reserve, check. Raid consumables, check. Every single valuable thing we've accumulated, mine now. Sorry, not sorry. Tell the guild leader he should have said better permissions. See you never.
Guys, why is the guild bank completely empty?
What? That's impossible. We had millions in there.
Oh my gosh, where's Marcus? His officer rank, he had withdrawal permissions. When did he last log in?
Last seen 6 hours ago, and his character is deleted. He's gone.
Welcome back to MMO Madness Behind the Troll Mask. I'm Boss Mode, and today we're talking about the ultimate guild betrayal, the inside job, the heist, the exit scam, when trusted members take everything and disappear into the night, leaving behind a trail of destroyed trust and empty bank tabs. Let's talk about guild bank robberies. Before we get into the legendary heists, let's break down how these thefts actually work and why they're so devastating. Guild banks exist in almost every MMO with guild systems. They're communal storage, a place where guild pools resources, stores crafting materials, keeps raid consumables, and accumulates wealth over time. Access is usually controlled by ranks. Officers and trusted members get withdrawal permissions. New or untrusted members have limited or no access. The problem is that this system requires trust. If someone has withdrawal permissions, they can take stuff. The game usually allows it mechanically. There might be logs showing who withdrew what, but by the time anyone notices, the thief is long gone. Guild bank heists come in a few different flavors. First, there's the opportunistic theft. Someone gets promoted to officer, realizes they have access to valuable stuff, and on impulse takes it and runs. This is usually small time. They grab what they can and disappear. It's not planned. It's just opportunity meeting lack of ethics. Then there's the slow drain. This is someone who withdraws small amounts over time, hoping no one notices. A little gold here, some materials there. They're not cleaning out the bank in one go. They're embezzling slowly. This can go on for months before anyone realizes the bank is being bled. The classic heist is a one-night robbery. Someone with bank access, usually a trusted officer, logs in during off hours when no one's watching, withdraws everything they can carry, and disappears. They might delete their character, transfer servers, or just never log in again. These are dramatic, devastating, and leave the guild scrambling in the morning. The elaborate con is the worst. This is when someone joins a guild specifically to rob it. They spend weeks or months building trust, contributing to the guild, being helpful and friendly. They're angling for a promotion, for bank access. Once they get it, they execute their plan. These are premeditated, calculated, and absolutely brutal because the betrayal was the plan all along. There's also the exit scam. This is when someone's already planning to quit the game or guild. So on their way out, they clean out the bank as a parting gift to themselves. They figure they're leaving anyway, might as well take something valuable with them. And finally, there's the revenge theft. Someone gets kicked from the guild or demoted, and they have just enough time with bank access to clean out before their permissions are revoked. This isn't about wealth, it's about hurting the guild on their way out. What makes these heists so devastating isn't just the material loss, it's the betrayal. Guilds are built on trust. You're playing with these people for months or years. You've shared victories and failures, you've built friendships, and then one person decides that digital wealth is worth destroying all of that. The guild and items can be replaced eventually. The trust, well, that's gone forever. All right, let's get into the Hall of Infamy. These are some of the most legendary, devastating guild bank heists in MMO history. This story comes from EVE Online. This is probably the most famous guild bank heist in MMO history. On EVE Online, a player infiltrated major alliance called Titans for You. This wasn't a casual theft. This was a long con that took months to set up. The player, let's call him Istvan, joined the alliance as a new member. He was friendly, helpful, active in fleet operations. He slowly built trust. Over several months, he got promoted through the ranks. He became a director with access to alliance assets. Then he struck. He didn't just rob the guild bank, he robbed everything: corporation hangars, personal contracts, ship stockpiles. The total value? About 1 trillion ISK. In real world terms, that's somewhere between 10,000 and 30,000 worth of currency, depending on how you calculate it. But Istvan didn't stop there. He'd been feeding intelligence to enemy alliances the entire time. He knew where the corporation's assets were stationed, what their strategic plans were, everything. He sold that information and then helped orchestrate an attack on the corporation using the intel he had gathered. Titans for You collapsed. The leadership quit EVE, the membership scattered to other corps. Istvan became one of the most infamous players in EVE Online history. CCP, the developers, didn't ban him. In EVE, scamming and espionage are allowed. He played by the rules, just in the most ruthless way possible. This wasn't just a bank heist, it was corporate espionage and warfare combined with the biggest robbery in the game's history. This story comes from WoW. World of Warcraft during the Wrath of the Lich King. A raiding guild, let's call them Ascension, had been together for 5 years. Long-standing community, lots of friendships, very successful raiding. One of their officers, we'll call him Derek, had been with the guild since the beginning. He was the main tank, a raid leader, and universally trusted. He had the full bank access. No one questioned it because he'd been loyal for half a decade. One night after a successful raid, Derek logged in at 3 a.m. and cleaned out every single guild bank tab. Rare mounts, legendary materials, crafted items, consumables, and about 500,000 gold. An absolute massive amount at that time. He transferred everything to an alt account. Then server transferred that alt to a different realm. His main character, the one everyone knew, he deleted. By morning, Derek was gone, and so was everything the guild had accumulated over 5 years. The guild tried to recover. They reported it to Blizzard. GM said that it was an internal guild matter, and they don't restore stolen items from guild banks. The guild tried to rebuild, but the hit was too severe. People lost faith in the leadership for giving Derek access. Others questioned if anyone could be trusted now. Within 3 months, the guild disbanded. Derek? He resurfaced months later on a different server under a new name. Someone recognized his play style and called him out. He claimed his account had been hacked and he had no memory of the theft. No one believed him, but he couldn't be proven guilty either. He ended up hopping servers multiple times whenever his reputation caught up with him. One night of theft destroyed a 5-year-old community. That's the power of the inside job. In Final Fantasy, a free company had been around since the game relaunched. Small but tight-knit community, about 30 active members. One of their members, Sarah, had been with them for 2 years. She was helpful, social, always contributing to the FC projects. Sarah got promoted to an officer role with bank permissions, and she started stealing, small amounts at first. A few thousand gil here, some crafting materials there, nothing that would be immediately noticed. But she did it consistently every few days for 6 months. By the time the FC leadership realized something was wrong, Sarah had embezzled millions of gil and massive amounts of materials. She had been selling it all and transferring the money to alt accounts. When confronted, she admitted everything and logged off, never came back. What made this one interesting was that it wasn't a big dramatic heist. It was slow, patient embezzlement. And it worked because no one thought to closely monitor the bank logs until it was too late. By then, she had stolen roughly 40% of the FC's total wealth over a half year. In Guild War II has an interesting guild bank system where different ranks have different daily withdrawal limits. The story involves those limits and perfect timing. A guild had a member, Marcus, who had been causing drama, arguing with people, not showing up to events, generally being toxic. The leadership decided to demote him from officer to regular member. But there was a 24-hour delay before the demotion took effect. In that 24-hour window, Marcus still had the officer withdrawal limits. He realized this and went to work. He couldn't withdraw everything in one go because of daily limits, but he could take the maximum allowed. He took gold, rare crafting materials, ascended equipment, everything valuable he could carry. Then he left the guild and blocked everyone. The guild tried to get the stuff back, but Marcus told them he'd return it if they apologized for demoting him and reinstated him as an officer with a public announcement. The guild refused. Marcus sold everything and used the gold to fund his new guild. This is interesting because Marcus didn't steal because he planned to. He stole because he got demoted and wanted revenge. It was an opportunistic revenge theft. And it worked because the guild leadership didn't realize there was a delay on permission changes. Here's an elaborate 3-person con. We're in WoW again, but this one's special because it involved coordination. 3 friends who were Alex, Jordan, and Casey decided to run a guild heist operation. They each joined different guilds on the same server, mid-sized guilds, successful but not huge. They spent 3 months in these guilds, building trust, contributing, being helpful. Each of them was working towards the same goal, getting officer rank and bank access. They communicated outside the game, coordinating their cons. When all 3 had achieved officer status in their respective guilds, they executed the heist simultaneously on the same night. All 3 cleaned out their guild banks, transferred the stolen goods to a neutral character they controlled, and disappeared. 3 guilds robbed on the same night by what appeared to be unrelated incidents. The stolen goods were consolidated and sold. The 3 friends split the profits and used it to fund their own guild on a different server, which they advertised as heavily sponsored and well-funded. They never told anyone where the funding came from. This is the only multi-guild coordinated heist I've ever heard of. It was elaborate, patient, and executed with precision. And it worked perfectly because no one suspected the 3 separate thefts were connected. This one's dark because it wasn't an officer. It was the guild leader themselves. In ESO, a trading guild had been around for years. The guild leader, Thomas, managed everything: recruitment, events, the guild trader, everything. The guild had accumulated massive wealth, millions of gold in the bank, valuable items, a prestigious guild trader location. Thomas controlled all of it because he was the guild leader. One day, Thomas announced he was taking a break from the game. Personal stuff. Needed time away. Would be back in a few weeks. Everyone wished him well. The normal stuff. He never came back, but before he left, he promoted one of his alts to the guild leader, transferred all the guild assets to the alt, then disbanded the guild. The members logged in to find they weren't in a guild anymore. All their contributions, all their shared wealth, it was all gone. Thomas had taken everything and deleted his characters. The guild tried to reform, but without their wealth and their trader spot, they couldn't maintain their status. Members just drifted away. The community scattered. Thomas had essentially killed the guild on purpose and stolen years of accumulated wealth on his way out. This is the ultimate betrayal, when the person everyone trusted most, the literal leader, is the one who robs everyone. So why do trusted members betray their guilds? What makes someone spend months building relationships just to destroy them for digital gold? Let's get into the psychology. For some people, it's pure greed. They see valuable stuff they have access to, and they want it. Simple as that. The temptation is right there. They have the means to take it, and their ethics don't stop them. They rationalize it as, it's just a game, or it's not really stealing because it's not real. For others, it's about the score. They're treating the guild like a job to rob. It's a challenge, a heist to pull off. They get satisfaction not just from the wealth, but from successfully executing the plan. They've conned people, played a role for months, and gotten away with it. The thrill is a part of the reward. Some do it for revenge. They feel wronged by the guild, passed over for promotion, criticized in raids, not given enough recognition. The theft is a payback. They're taking what they think they're owed for all their contributions. It's a twisted sense of justice. There's also the detachment factor. Online relationships feel less real than in-person ones. The people they're stealing from are just characters on a screen, not real humans they're hurting. This emotional distance makes the betrayal easier to execute. For the long con artist, there's often a sociopathic element. They're able to fake friendship and loyalty without feeling guilty about it. They can look at people in the eye, well, in voice chat, and lie. This isn't a crime of passion, it's calculated manipulation. Some people do it because they're quitting the game anyway. An exit scam, mentally. They figure they're leaving, so why not take something valuable with them? They can sell the gold for real money or just enjoy the chaos they leave behind. They have no ongoing investment in the community, so there's no downside. And rarely, some people steal because they have real life financial problems and they're going to sell the gold for actual money. This is still wrong and stupid. They're not going to make serious money selling MMO gold, and they're destroying trust for maybe a couple $100. But desperation makes people make bad decisions. What's interesting is that most guild bank thieves don't think of themselves as bad people. They rationalize it heavily. The guild had too much anyway. They'll recover. It's just pixels. They need these justifications because somewhere deep down, they know what they're doing is wrong. But the rationalization lets them do it anyway. All right, practical advice for guild leaders. How do you protect your guild from an inside job? Spoiler alert, You can't make it totally safe, but you can minimize the risk. First, the permission system. Be restrictive with bank access. Not everyone needs officer permissions. Create graduated ranks with limited withdrawal amounts. New members get read-only access. Regular members can withdraw a small amount per day. Officers get more, but not unlimited. Only the guild leader or maybe one or two absolutely trusted people get full access. Second, monitor the bank logs. Most games have logs showing who withdraw what and when. Check them regularly. Not obsessively, but at least weekly. Look for patterns. Is someone withdrawing the daily maximum every single day? Hey, that's a red flag. Are withdrawals happening in odd hours? That's suspicious. Third, don't store everything in one place. Keep a reserve that only you have access to. If the guild bank gets robbed, you have a backup to rebuild with. This is the guild's emergency fund that no one else knows about. Fourth, trust slowly. Just because someone's been in the guild for a month and seems nice doesn't mean they should have an officer access. Make people earn trust over time, 3 months minimum, preferably 6 before serious permissions. Long cons take patience, and most thieves won't stick around that long. Fifth, have multiple people with awareness. Don't let one person control everything. Multiple officers should be checking the bank. Multiple people should have access to see what's being withdrawn. This creates accountability and makes it harder for someone to slowly drain the bank unnoticed. Sixth, be careful with recruits who are too perfect. If someone joins and is immediately super helpful, super active, super invested, be a little suspicious. Genuine members build investment gradually. Someone speedrunning trust building might have ulterior motives. Seventh, do a background check. Look people up on server forums. Ask around. Do they have a history with other guilds? Why did they leave? Are there any red flags? A little detective work can save you a lot of heartache. Eighth, have clear rules about what can be withdrawn and when. Bank is for guild use only, not personal enrichment. Make it explicit. If someone asks to borrow expensive materials, that's a conversation to have. Not an automatic yes just because they have permission to take it. Ninth, use the guild bank as active story, not a vault. Don't let massive wealth accumulate. Use it for guild purposes, fun raid nights, help guildies with crafting, buy guild upgrades. A bank in active use is less tempting to rob because there's less to steal at any given time. Here's the hard truth though. If someone with bank access decides to rob you, they probably can. You can minimize the risk, but you can't eliminate it. That's why the real protection is choosing trustworthy people, not just building better locks. Let's talk about what happens after a guild bank heist. How do guilds recover, if they recover at all? The immediate aftermath is usually chaos. People log in, see the empty bank, panic sets in. Who did it? How much was taken? Can we get it back? There's anger, betrayal, shock. The guild chat explodes. People are demanding answers, pointing fingers, questioning the leadership. Guild leaders face a tough decision. Do they try to rebuild or do they just disband? Some leaders take responsibility, even though it wasn't their fault, and work to rebuild the bank. They rally the guild, organize farming operations, and ask for donations. It's damage control mode. Other guilds never recover. The theft breaks the community's trust. Members leave because they don't feel safe anymore. They question the leadership's judgment. They wonder if it could happen again. The guild might technically still exist, but it's a shell. Within weeks or months, it dies. There's usually an investigation phase. Players check the bank logs, try to figure out what exactly was taken and when. They contact the thief if possible, demanding the items back. Usually the thief either doesn't respond or mocks them. Rarely thieves have remorse and return the items, but that's the exception. Some guilds try to get revenge. They spread the thief's name around the server, warn other guilds, try to get them blacklisted. In games with faction warfare or PvP, they'll hunt the thief relentlessly if they can find them. This revenge is more about catharsis than getting items back. The stuff is usually gone forever. In rare cases, GMs will get involved. If the theft was done through hacking or account sharing, Blizzard or other companies might restore items. But if it was just someone with legitimate permissions taking stuff, most companies consider it an internal guild matter. You gave them access, you deal with the consequences. The long-term impact varies. Some guilds come back stronger because of adversity brings the remaining members closer together. They've been through something traumatic and survived it. Other guilds are permanently scarred. Trust is fragile. Once broken, it's hard to rebuild. What's sad is that one person's decision to steal and destroy communities that took years to build, friendships ended, people quit the game, all for some digital gold that the thief will probably spend in a few weeks. Guild bank heists are one of the most personal forms of betrayal in MMO gaming. It's not like getting ganked by a stranger. This is someone you played with, talked to, and trusted. And they use that trust to rob you. If you're a guild leader, be protective of your bank, but not paranoid. You need to trust people to have functioning guild, but you also need to be smart about who you trust and how much access you give them. It's a balance. If you're thinking about robbing a guild bank, understand what you're actually doing. You're not just taking pixels, you're destroying a community. You're hurting real people who invested real time and built real friendships. That digital gold isn't worth the damage you cause. And if your guild gets robbed, know that it's not necessarily the end. Communities can rebuild. Trust can be restored. It takes time and effort, but it's possible. The guilds that survive heists often become stronger for it. The guild bank heist is the ultimate test of community. It reveals who people really are. The thieves who only cared about wealth and the members who stay to rebuild because they actually care about the people. Next week on MMO Madness Behind the Troll Mask, we're diving into zone chat chaos, the wildest public meltdowns. We're talking about arguments that went server-wide, drama that stopped people from questing just to watch, and the kind of public freakouts that become server folklore. You definitely don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and support the podcast. Tell your guildmates, share it in your Discord, and leave us a review. And if you've got a guild bank heist story, the victim or the perpetrator, we don't judge much. Email us at podcast@mmomadness.com. Until then, trust your officers, but verify their withdrawals. And remember, community is worth more than gold. I'm Boss Mode, and thanks for listening.